Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. This is Arabs in Media, episode 9, interview with Yasmin Elhady.
Yeah.
Is that the correct?
You killed it. You're so good. It's like you're Arab or something.
I've been told I resemble one.
You've been accused.
I've been accused in many checkpoints.
You're like, allegedly.
All right, welcome to Arabs in Media. I'm Hazem Jamal, your host. Please subscribe to our Substack where you will get alerts on new episodes dropping, and you'll also get a little bit of writing on different subjects in between podcast episodes so we can always stay in touch. We have a special guest today. I am so excited. We've been doing a lot about Arabs in news. Now it's time to talk about Arabs in entertainment.
Woo!
Yeah, baby.
I want to make sure to just blow out your audience's ears. That was just a call to prayer. You don't have to worry about what just happened. It's a different kind of prayer we do.
Half of the audience just like called the FBI.
Yeah, they were like, it sounds like a call to arms.
They're not from these parts. Our guest is a comedian, a matchmaker, a lawyer, a mom, and a real human Arab.
I am. So like dynamic and flawed. Yes.
She's done stand-up, serial television, and has a deep history in performing for high school assemblies, friends, and families, and probably your kids to get them to eat or fall asleep while they were infants or toddlers.
All the time. To this day, parenting is a performance. That's how we get through it.
Did you do the airplane, watch the airplane to land into the mouth with like a spoonful of baby food?
I did, but mostly trains because we can't get on airplanes.
Please, please welcome to Arabs in Media the exceptional and very funny human being, Yasmin Elhady. Yay!
Can you add an applause track?
Yes, I can.
For the applause, applause, applause. Yes. And for the applause, applause.
Now, did you want a blue spotlight or a green spotlight?
I'll take blue.
Blue? Okay, here we go. So we're a new podcast, and you're a new guest to the podcast. First, I just want to mention that we're in Brea, California.
Ooh.
Before Yasmin takes the stage for a comedy benefit tour for Palestine and the PCRF, which is the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. Congratulations.
Thank you.
On being a human and a humanitarian.
I am.
This is a great cause. I met some of the production crew outside. You know, when you have purpose and passion, you're unstoppable.
It's true.
So for people who don't know who you are, who I am for that matter, because I'm assuming that, you know, this will like be the podcast of the century.
Oh, at least.
At least.
The millennia.
We're going to do some rapid fire intro questions. Just a few.
Okay.
Ready?
So excited.
Okay. Question number 1.
Okay.
Are you a lawyer for good or for evil?
Definitely for good.
Question number 2. Do you think being Muslim made you an overachiever?
Always. Always seeking excellence and hoping that they like me.
Question number 3. If trauma informs comedy, what would be the top trauma that has shaped your comedy?
Being a refugee.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
And fourth question, final question. Do you condemn other forms of hummus, like jalapeno cilantro hummus?
Definitely chocolate hummus needs to go to hell immediately. That bitch needs to die.
Have you tried it? I've never tried it.
Of course, I would not be that heretical.
Right?
My people would disown me.
That would be like, Astaghfirullah, don't get that plate out of here.
I just think that I would be actually crucified.
Yeah.
No good.
That's an interesting metaphor.
I know. Just at the stake. Those are our people.
That's true. That's true.
We're all Semites.
That is true.
Did you not know that?
That's, oh man.
Audience members. How can we be anti-Semitic when we are Semites?
I know.
What are y'all talking about?
I know. Well, I will say that I have had jalapeno cilantro hummus.
Oof.
It was totally not at a Middle Eastern restaurant or Arabic food restaurant.
Okay.
It wasn't bad, but I condemn it.
I love that. It wasn't terrible, but it must die. That was so good. That was so good. That
All
misdirection.
go back to the trauma thing because that was juicy.
It's also delicious in general.
Trauma?
Traumedy is what is what we call it.
Traumedy?
Uh-huh.
I learned a new term recently. It was called dreaditing.
Ooh.
And that's when you dread editing.
That's really good. My really good friend Ruad Aziz, who does comedy in DC, she's Lebanese and talks a lot about the wars that she's experienced. She coined a traumedy festival. And it was amazing. It was like 3 days with the Middle East Institute. And we just did comedy from sadness and difficulty. And so I did a whole bit about how I'm a recovering immigrant.
And a refugee. Okay, so let's get to that. Tell me how did you become a refugee?
So I'm half Egyptian, half Libyan. And my mother is Egyptian. My father is Libyan. And he was a teeny tiny bit, like a tad in the Gaddafi regime, right? Where you're like, what does that taste like? Is that cumin? That's spicy. No, it's tyranny. You're tasting dictatorship. And so he was a cabinet minister in the Gaddafi regime. So high key, not low key, but he could stay with me. I said I was a refugee. Okay. We sought asylum. My dad morally abstained against Gaddafi. He lost everything as a result. And he actually first sought asylum in Egypt, which is where he met my mom. My mom was super hot. They dated for a year and they got married. And they were both kind of on different marriages. My dad was on his third marriage. My mom was on her second. I don't know what else to say. We hoes out here in the streets, but they fell in love and they loved each other and they had my brother and me. And I thought I was Egyptian. And then the Lockerbie bombings changed everything in 1989. And basically the relationship to Libyan refugees changed significantly after that. And a lot of countries saw them as pariah. And the Egyptian government in particular started having better relations with the Libyan government to try to remove the Libyans out of their country. And there's a really great book by Hisham Al-Matar called The Return. It won the 2017 Pulitzer Prize. I would highly recommend it. But it basically catalogs the devastating nature of these disappearances that happened to Libyan refugees that thought they were asylum seekers in Egypt. And that is actually what tripped a series of Libyans fleeing Egypt. And so my dad went to Germany and he sent us to Jordan. And then we country hopped and went to Morocco and Saudi Arabia and the UK. And we just were on the run. And no one was giving us asylum because it was really hard Libyans aren't liked. The L is not for love or like. It's like livid. They just don't want us in their country. And we got lucky because this amazing consular officer in London said, look, I don't have a refugee number for you. You can stay 6 months. My dad's like, I've used all my cash. Like I have no more money left. Wow. I don't know how we're going to survive here. And he said, let me call my friend in the American embassy. And he did. And that guy just honestly had mercy on us and gave us a visitor visa when we had no business getting a visitor visa to the US. And he said, right when you get to JFK airport, claim asylum, show them everything, show them all your evidence of Gaddafi trying to kill you and seeking your murder, your assassination. And my dad had everything in a row and we made it to the US at JFK and they gave us asylum. And then my dad took us to a place that was the bastion of freedom and safety in the United States, Alabama. That's where he took us. One Libyan refugee went there. The way station for Libyan refugees is actually Lexington, Kentucky. So I'm a Lexingtonian Libyan. Lexington, Kentucky. That's where we go. It's like Somalis in Minnesota. Stop trying to understand it. It will break your brain. Okay?
So Lexington, Kentucky.
Yes, it's the largest population of Libyans in the entire United States. It's the largest population of Libyans, period, outside of Manchester, UK, when we're talking about Libyans in the diaspora.
Oh my goodness.
There's only 6 million of us total in the whole world, in Libya proper and outside. So we're looking at everyone being connected. We all know each other. And that's how it went down. We first flew to Lexington, Kentucky, and then my dad quickly made us go down to Alabama to follow one guy who was like, his name was Mustafa. We called him Mufasa. He was like, I can't be a lone wolf. Muhammad, I need a wolf pack. My dad's like, for you, Mustafa, say less. And then he moved our entire family down there.
Oh my goodness.
And then he escaped north to New York and left us there below the Mason-Dixon line. And I haven't been able to get above the Mason-Dixon line.
Oh my goodness. My goodness.
Still in Virginia. God. damn it. But it's fine. I don't want to live there.
Well, my parents emigrated to Chicago from Iraq.
Yeah.
And, now it's got a pretty sizable Arab American population.
Yes.
When I was growing up, there was nobody in the neighborhood that was Arab. So that was a similar experience, I'm sure. Like we had our food and our customs, but like but we couldn't like share. Hey, I had bamia last night. It was so good.
Yeah, it wasn't. We were like, it's molokhia. Do you like it? They're like, this is slime. You're the swamp thing. We don't like you. Is mostly what people.
Oh man! So was that tough being in Alabama as the only Libyan? Or
what are you talking about? It was easy. Are you okay? You just said that you had a similar awesome experience.
Yeah.
It was really rough. My mom tried to like, whenever she could afford it, we'd go back to Egypt to try to like, have some kind of connection to another culture that wasn't like white America. She was worried that I was, going to be completely assimilated into the white liliness. And then when I decided to wear hijab, she was like, please don't do this. You will stand out so much. And I really wanted to do it. I thought it was beautiful. I'm not like my mom in many ways. My mom was cute, flirty, fun. I was religious, service-oriented, kind of square my whole life. More like my dad.
Yeah.
I was more like my dad.
Yeah.
And she just didn't understand. Even my dad was like, you're 8 years old. That's so young. Please don't ruin your whole childhood. But I just loved hijab. And the first people I encountered in the United States were Catholic nuns that welcomed us as refugees, as the Catholic Church today still is the major service provider for refugees in the entire world.
Wow.
Followed really by like the Lutherans. And they just do so much excellent service work. And I remember just seeing this woman and she's like covered from head to toe and she's washing my feet and she's putting on these warm socks because Egypt was hot and America was cold. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, look at this woman.
Yeah.
She is like pure. This woman is full service. Look at her cover from head to toe. I want to be like her. She looks exactly like my mom, but she has no ego. She's the opposite of my mom. And I was really inspired to wear hijab from her.
Well, I have to give you props on your current hijab, the one that you're wearing right now. It is sparkly and it is gorgeous.
Your eyes are gorgeous. You're so sweet.
They're not sparkly though.
Yeah. No, your eyes are sparkly. A good heart always sparkles.
That's right.
It's right through the eyes. You can see it. It's a portal to your soul.
But what do you think it is that people have such a tough time with the hijab in Western society? Like it is almost like...
Yeah, I know.
It's demonized for sure. And it's
1,000%.
Freaking scarf.
It's just a piece of cloth.
It's a cloth.
And not just that, they have this beautiful history of covering hair in Western society through nunnery, through nuns and Orthodox churches that require head coverings. I honestly believe there is a bit of, obviously a savior complex, like, we're past this. They don't have to do this. We have to save them from this. So there's a bit of that, but I think it's a feeling of otherness that they don't love. It makes people uncomfortable because they're in booty shorts and you're covered and that makes them uncomfortable. But them in booty shorts doesn't make me uncomfortable. I'm wearing my hijab. Like, I'm going to be more covered than 99% of the people walking around. But it's this feeling of like being miffed, just totally offended that I think I'm somehow better than them or more holy than them. I think it's a little bit of this weird savior and jealousy complex. Like you're making, like I'm being judged by you just by your existence. And it's like, no, you're judging me. You're actually judging me, but you have this whole thing in your mind about how I am somehow holier than thou and dislike you and bringing my otherness to your doorstep when that's not the case at all. I'm choosing to be this way. I'm choosing this modest attire, but I have nothing against you. And you're not even on my radar, boo. And I'm so on your radar. It's amazing to me. It's like, I can't even see you. And you are staring at me.
I think they hate your freedoms.
I think they hate my freedom. I think that they also think that we don't have agency. That's the key, right? If we don't have agency, then everything that we're doing is not really a choice and it's been forced upon us. But what's so funny about all of that is the hypocrites. Really? If this is forced upon me, are you going to force your quote unquote freedom upon me as well? Like when does the forcing stop? When do you just see people as human beings that are full agents that make their own decisions without you trying to force your paradigm on them? Right. Good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well said.
Thank you.
Congrats. That's fantastic. Really, because I mean, nobody counters this. And if you watch media, if you watch TV news, if you watch cable news, if you watch any sort of content, it's either, vilified, or it's celebrated, but there's no conversation about it.
Right.
Period. Like nobody's having that kind of discourse of what you just said. That part right there, it's about agency.
Yes.
What if it's your choice?
What if it really is? And of course, if it's not, then I would be in your corner 24/7, 365 days a week. If you don't feel like an agent in any of his circumstance, whether you're being forced to be uncovered, whether you're being forced to be covered, I ain't about that. Like, I will be in your corner. I will defend your right to choose, period, however you want to look. But it's amazing to me that it's only so deeply one-sided. That conversation is so deeply one-sided. It's like, I'm going to save you. I'm also kind of offended by you. I'm a little bit jealous of like what you're trying to do over here as well. Like, we've uncovered our women. Like, we've unwrapped them. These pieces of beautiful, candy. They get to walk around. They get to be our eye candy. That's what we're called, eye candy. And it's like, actually, I really want to be able to choose who sees this candy. It's too sweet. I'm too damn sweet for you, bitch. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? And that's my feeling about hijab. It's like, I get to choose to touch the people that I love and that I care about, and to show myself to the people that I love and I care about.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Yeah. But did you see the closing ceremonies of the Olympics?
I did.
All right. Did you see the clip then, or the part where it was the last medal awarded?
Yes, I did, Hazem. And
this was like poetic justice, call it what you will, because in France, many people may know or not know, the hijab in public display is banned.
Right.
That's... Can I say something snarky about the French?
Yes.
That's how advanced they are. They must have some sort of a savior thing too. But I think in that particular specific decision, there's racism.
There's deep racism. Not only is it savior, but what they say about laïcité, like their idea of secularism, is that you're not assimilating if you're bringing your otherness to our country. Instead of just not being so damn unconfident. Like, why are you so goddamn insecure about your laïcité? Like, if your secularism is so attractive, then people will come to it as they are.
Right, right.
And when they just pick it up, why would you force someone to remove the thing that you're so deeply threatened by because you think that what you have is so much better to offer? Well, let us choose then, boo. Let us make the choice. You're so deeply insecure and threatened by a piece of cloth. And yes, of course, I saw the poetic beauty of the marathon runner, Sifan. She was just beautiful, wearing her hijab, smile from ear to ear.
Oh, that smile was so gorgeous.
That's a sparkling smile.
Yeah.
That's someone who sparkles from the inside out. Her eyes, her beautiful smile, her skin, her hijab. It was just like, it felt like I was up there. Like, it felt like we were flying with her.
Yeah.
And that kind of soaring connectedness, I think you can maybe only feel if you truly love hijab. And I love hijab. I love it. I love everything about it. I love that women can choose to also wear it. She does not wear it regularly. She chose very deliberately to wear it on that podium as the last medal. And it just felt like a really big middle finger to France. And it felt good. It felt really good.
So are you saying that you condemn France?
I say that I condemn anyone taking our agency away.
Yeah.
I condemn anyone that wants to own a woman's body and her expression. She gets to do that. You don't. You don't get to touch our bodies or tell us what to do with them, inside or out.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is, I mean, with all of this kind of smack talk about France,
Yeah.
which I'm
That
down
bitch
for.
France. Let's cut her. Yeah. Let's cut her in her sleep.
Yo, France, meet me in the alley after work.
Meet me outside. Catch me outside, France. I will mess you up. Why am I getting so aggressive with France? I feel like, but you know, it's so funny, right? Like we're talking about aggression.
Yeah.
You know what was so beautiful about that entire act of defiance? It was done in the most beautiful,
Right.
elegant, classy way. What Sifan did was pure classiness. It was pure elegance. It was like, oh, y'all are so cute. Y'all think that hijab is the problem? I just set a world record in marathoning, and I'm going to take that gold medal. I'm going to take the last medal, and I'm going to look like the people that you ban. Kisses.
I wonder what the politics were of that decision, right? Because it's in France. Paris was hosting the Olympics. They have the hijab ban. I'm sure there were plenty of people who were there for the Olympics who wore their hijab.
Yes.
I'm sure it wasn't enforced. I'm sure it was.
Yeah, there were Egyptian Olympians. She's obviously a Dutch Olympian. She's from the Netherlands that does not have that ban. And so France can't involve themselves in any international players' attire.
Right.
And that felt great.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
They were.
That's the spirit of the Olympics. It's that everyone comes as they are, representing their countries, and it's a panoply. It's just a beauty of what we are as human beings, which is every color, every expression. We're dynamic. We are shared in our love of sport. And, you know, I think that's why also with the Algerian boxer, you know, Iman Khalif, like it was so sad to see people trying to use her in a way to make some kind of political statement when she's just an athlete that has been an athlete her whole life and is so beloved by her family and so beloved by her country that it's like entirely against the spirit of the Olympics. Yeah. It's entirely against the spirit of what the sport celebration is supposed to be. And just another Muslim woman from a completely different world, no hijab, obviously, you know, wearing attire that is quote unquote revealing, whatever you want to call it, but we love her. We will stand by her. We are in her corner. We will cheer her on, and she is our hero just as much as Sifan is. Iman is also our hero. And I think her entire the entire ordeal that she went through by people trying to somehow question her legitimacy, you know, in the competition as a woman is just another example of someone removing the agency from women and completely, I think, stripping us of the dignity that we deserve as competitors. Yeah.
There's so many.
And France is doing the same thing by removing hijab as an option for competitors in their country.
There's an intersection of not just the sexism and the ethno prejudice of her being from Algeria.
100%. A woman of color.
A woman of color.
Yes.
The accusation of her being a man at its core has a lot of transphobia.
Deep transphobia.
And, you know, what I found very pleasing was, you know, the stereotype of the Arab world is that it can't handle conversations about X, Y, or Z dealing with, you know, any of the alphabet topics. Right. But here was a woman who is a woman fighting in a sport that if you were going by the stereotype, she wouldn't be fighting in that sport. Right. She wouldn't have bootstrapped her, you know, athletic career coming from a small village and finding somebody to sponsor her boxing. Right. And then to be throughout life fending off these comments, not from Algerians or the Arab world.
Who love her, who accept her. Yeah. Who are not
because she is
shaming her.
A human.
She's a human being.
She's a woman. And it's the exterior world, a lot of the Western world, who is just like blowing up. Their minds are melting down.
Literally.
Over this idea because an Italian boxer faced 2.5 seconds with her in the ring and broke down crying and said, "This ain't for me today."
Which she quit.
She quit.
And that should be okay too.
That's totally fine.
But not to vilify anyone about the quitting.
Right.
It's like, just like we're not going to call you a little whatever for quitting and make fun of you somehow, you also should not be actively trying to take anybody down as a result of being beat fair and square. It's like, I would have never even, thought about making fun of this Italian woman quitting like this. But boo, I'm gonna make fun of you for tapping out so quick in a profession that you get hit in the head, boo. Like that's actually, and you get hit in the head until you give up.
Yeah.
Until at least the round is over. And you couldn't even do that.
How about that breakdancing woman? Can we make fun of her?
The Australian woman, I think, that's fair game. I feel like that's fair game. She has a PhD in breakdancing. You didn't know that? She has a doctorate in what looked like bunny hopping or convulsing, seizing. It was amazing.
Well, we've got to set up some standards, I think, for when it's okay to make fun of somebody. Like you never want to punch down.
Yeah.
But I think once you've been the subject of like 737,000 memes for breakdancing, and what's the term? Not co-opting, cultural appropriation.
Culturally appropriating. There was another woman in a do-rag. There's like another white woman in a do-rag, and I'm like, you don't have to do that to do your little thing. You can do your little thing, but you don't have to culturally appropriate.
Well, we are very happy for Sifan.
Yes.
We're very happy for all women who perform in Olympic sports.
Yes, and for Iman. Yes.
And for Iman.
I'm not happy for the Australian woman.
No.
Look how much I forgot her name.
I never learned it. I was just captivated.
Professor, whatever her name is. Yeah. Doctor embarrassment.
But, the fact that it was in France, I mean, Paris looked beautiful. I wouldn't have swam in the Seine River for $1 million.
No. Because you're going to go home with that inside of your system.
You're going to require some IV treatment of some sort.
It's like you have hepatitis now. What are you going to do?
Yeah. And who was it who like swam in it as an example?
I don't know. And then they go, it doesn't taste good. Which was like, is it your skin falling off? What's happening?
Yeah.
Anyways.
But, with France, with all this dogging on France, we are going to give him a little bit of some props here.
Okay.
All right. So I do love French food, but you know what I love more than French food is Arabic food.
Yeah. Better.
Arabic food is
better than French cuisine. I don't want coq au vin. I want couscousi.
We like fusion too.
Yeah, I don't want a cordon bleu. I want a molokhia.
Molokhia is wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks, Iraqi man, for acknowledging that our molokhia is pretty damn good.
It is, absolutely.
It is good.
I will arm wrestle, though.
Oh, God, here we go.
Over who makes the best bamia.
The Iraqi bamia is very good.
Yeah.
Kuwaiti bamia is good, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Egyptian bamia is good, but not as good.
I've never
admit it.
I've never had Kuwaiti bamia.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah?
Yeah. My mom's friends would make it, and I was like, this is exceptional bamia. Like, it's so good. It's like these small, tiny, they use only the small
little
bamia.
baby ones.
They only, and those are
all right.
Succulent. I feel like no one's allowed to say that word. I feel like Dr. Embarrassment for saying succulent.
The word this week is demure.
Yeah. Very cutesy. Very mindful.
And mindful.
Very mindful.
This bamia is very demure.
It's very demure. It's very girly. It's giving write the check out to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So bamia, for those who are unfamiliar with Arabic food, bamia is the Arabic word for okra.
It is.
And
someone's wearing a shirt that says okra on it.
I'm wearing a green shirt that has the okra nutritional value label on it.
Yeah, this is so cute.
Because okra, bamia, is my favorite dish of all time.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's what I ask my parents to make for me when I'm visiting them. Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah. What's yours?
My favorite dish is by far, I think, mahshi. I really like Egyptian mahshi. It's a vegetarian spin. It's the first dish I ever learned how to make because I loved it so much. And I started cooking in law school as a form of stress relief. And I would feed my entire village off of this one jar of grape leaves. And so I would make mahshi for everybody.
Oh, that
Although
sounds
the
delicious.
Iraqi dolma is exceptional. It's also better than Egyptian dolma. We don't call it dolma, obviously, but
Right.
it's your onions. Like the onions that you guys make, those stuffed onions are unbelievable. But if we're talking about like grape leaf to grape leaf, okay,
Yeah.
like a joust, okay, I think the Egyptian grape leaf.
We may have
wins.
We may have to have a cook off at
I
some point
think
because
so.
I learned how
Or
to
arm
make
wrestling.
dolma with
Did you?
my dad last week. Yeah, last week.
Hazim.
Yeah, I know. I make bamia. I make a lot of different dishes, but for the first time, I learned how to make dolma the real Iraqi way last week.
God, with
Yeah.
the citric acid.
It was nice and sour.
Yes, you guys do. Yes, that's
But
how
we didn't have citric acid, so we used pomegranate molasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's my mouth is watering. Literally salivating.
Well, here in Orange County, there's plenty of good Arabic food, so I hope you
so
have
good here. Yeah.
some choices mapped out. with your
Absolutely.
family.
Absolutely.
So the thing that France does is they have this TikTok account, and basically they go through the street and they walk up to people and they'll ask them in a food category what their favorite is, and they'll go one by one. So it's like a face-off or a mano a mano.
Mano a mano. Okay.
I'm trying to make this as spicy as possible, considering we're talking about food.
Yeah.
What I want to do is go through a face-off of two foods, and you tell me what your favorite is. And that
here we go.
favorite will carry over to the next face-off until we have a winner after a
Sudden death.
series. Yeah, and these are all generally appetizers.
Got it.
Okay?
Here we go.
So, tabbouleh or spinach fatayr pies?
Spinach fatayr.
Spinach.
You are so high tech. God, you're so amazing.
Spinach fatayr pies or hummus?
Hummus.
Hummus or baba ghanoush?
Baba ganoush.
Baba ghanoush or dolma?
Dolma.
You're just
That
powering
was
through
so
the list.
intense. I'm like, all of them. The next one. Okay,
Dolma or kibbi?
no, dolma.
Dolma or falafel?
Dolma.
Dolma or pickled turnips?
No, dolma.
And the final one, dolma or just olives?
Olives.
Oh.
I eat. Oh my God. The amount of yelling. I love that. The amount of like aggressive, toxic masculinity in that made me feel at home. What I was going to say is that olives I'll eat at any time of night. Like it's like my midnight snack.
Oh, nice.
I eat olives and I don't discriminate. Black, green, pitted, unpitted. I just love olives, but I like them lemony.
Do you condemn olives that are stuffed with blue cheese?
Can you believe that I don't condemn them? I will eat them proudly. I like them stuffed with garlic, blue cheese, mozzarella,
Oh, wow.
pimento. Olives are my probably single favorite snack.
That's great.
Yeah, I love them.
When I was a kid, I never understood that the pimento was not a natural part of the olive.
I love that. I think my kids also believe that the pimento just comes right off of the tree.
Somebody should splice some genes and get that going because it would be a market. It'd be a
Yeah,
hit.
I think genetic modification is what we need more of.
I'm on board. Sign me up for that. So at home, who cooked? Was it your parents? Was it you? Was it your brother?
You know, my father is an excellent cook. He taught my mom how to cook. And me and my brother both cook. He is the superior chef.
Yeah.
My dad is really good, and my mom is better than him. But my brother he reigns supreme. He
Yeah.
is the best cook in our family. And I think a close number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. My mom is better than me. I'm like 3. I'm 3. I'm better than my dad. Although we're all really good cooks.
That's great.
Yeah. It's a whole thing about North African culture is that cooking is a life skill and men and women cook. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that about us.
Both my parents cook, but I think, over the years, my dad always cooked the turkey for
Yeah. For
Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes.
And he cooks, mezgoof, which is an
Love it.
Iraqi fish.
Yes.
And, they just have their repertoire. My mom is the bamia cook at home. But yeah, food unites us.
It does. It unites us. It's like one of the best parts of life, in my opinion. And I love that your dad taught you how to make dolma. So
Yeah.
we know that he's the real deal.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why did I lose my track of thought for a second? This was going to be a one-take podcast until now, unless I leave this in.
You should leave it in, bro.
Yeah.
You should be like, I was deep in thought about my father in the Dolma. It reminds me of the Iraqi war. That's not funny. Come on, Yasmin. I'm just thinking about trauma.
Well, I mean, this actually does lead to my question because, when I was thinking about doing a podcast a while ago, I had two different subjects that I was going to, tackle. And I finally landed on Arabs and media because I had a background in media.
Cool.
But I also, after October was like devastated by everything that is going on with the work. Heartbroken.
Yes.
And so much of what disheartened me was watching media and seeing the comments, which is something you should never do when you're depressed.
Yes.
Don't read the comments.
Ever.
But it just felt so overwhelming and I felt so unable to turn away from it.
Sure.
So I thought, okay, if I try to talk about subjects that are going on in the world, I'm going to talk myself into a corner, but I need to learn more about what this is all about because I think at the end of the day, what we need is more humanization.
Yes.
And that's a sad statement because you shouldn't have to fight for your own humanity.
Right.
As an Arab or as a woman or as anybody.
Yes, 2024. What? What? Why are we fighting to be seen as human beings? We've been human beings for millennia.
Yeah. So looking at a lot of your social media, I've seen that you do a lot of content that is around motivation.
Yes.
It's around, spiritual things in a way that are accessible for people because they're about your everyday life. And so my question is, how do you manage your mental health given the state of the world when there are days where you can open up your phone and feel like all hope is lost?
The doom scrolling is a real thing. And there are days that I have that are really dark and it feels like it's just never going to end and that the genocide is something that is still being debated and that people can't just be human beings to each other. But I always think like the amount of movement that has happened, I think with people seeing in real time the devastation, the tragedy that has created a sense of urgency in people and finally waking up after so many years of slumber is actually the single most hopeful thing that I've seen. There is a changing tide. There are more people entering into, whatever you want to call it, awareness, removing themselves from the matrix, removing the plug out of the back of their head, just thinking freely. And I think social media, with all its very many negative effects, has this really interesting place in telling the truth in real time that cannot be refuted, that cannot be easily washed away, which is why, there's this effort to ban things in social media that are too real and give people now access to show the world, to broadcast to the world what's really happening. And that's what gives me hope that the more people I think are just dealt with the truth in their face, the more that it's really hard to look away from it and to make excuses for it and to say things are complicated. It's right here. It's right in front of us. It's prime time.
Yeah.
And and sometimes that can be disheartening too, because like, well, then why is it not stopping? Well, I mean, everyone is making incremental steps to do what they can in terms of advocacy, in terms of alleviating suffering, in terms of removing people's burdens, in terms of humanizing people. And I think that that's also something that actually remains really hopeful to me. There are people every single day who are doing their part and they're not shying away from it. And I think that that's really special. And I think that that's something that is also unique to this era and that hasn't happened in the past. So that's what helps me. I also, I do a lot of contemplation. I do a lot of prayer. I do a lot of gratitude thinking. I think about also how the example that we're seeing of people's resolve in the most terrible circumstances helps really bring us down to earth and grounds us in understanding, like, why am I even complaining about my life? There are people who are really suffering and they have just a resolute belief that this life, it ain't it. And that there's got to be something more than that and more to it than this. And that is so inspiring for me spiritually. And it makes me just remember that, again, everyone is doing their part, and just existing and continuing to talk about what's happening and living even in your joy is the single most important way to resist what's happening. It's to just hold on to your humanity and just cling to it and cling to the fact that we're still here. We're still getting married. We're still having babies. You know, we're still surviving despite it all and despite such severe loss and grief. And that is the human spirit. Undeniable. It's on display.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. That was inspirational. That was something I needed to hear today.
Thanks.
And I had no idea why. Well, I did have an idea why, but I mean, I'm just grateful that you shared that.
Thank you.
So you're getting ready for showtime.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure everybody knows that you've got a Hulu special coming out.
I do. I have a show coming out on September 12th. It's called Muslim Matchmaker. You can watch it on Hulu and all streaming platforms on September 12th. Please subscribe to Hulu September 12th, between September 12th and October 12th, and go straight to Muslim Matchmaker.
Yeah.
That's what's going to help us get those numbers up to hopefully get a season 2.
This is how you do it. You take your phone.
Yeah.
And you set a reminder.
Yes.
And you do it like this. Siri, remind me on September 12th to make sure the Hulu subscription is active and to watch Muslim Matchmaker.
Yes. I love it.
Okay, I added it.
Is Siri a man for you?
You can choose any Siri voice you want.
I'm obsessed. That's so cute. Yeah, I'm really excited about the show. I think it's a way to humanize us. It's a joyful show. It's a life affirming show. It's about how to find love in a very complicated world as a Muslim American, and displays the beauty of our tapestry, the fact that we come from really every walk of life and every ethnicity, and you can't look at someone and be like, oh, they're Muslim. Well, you're like, they could be, they could not be. And like, what does it mean to actually be human? And what does it mean to be Muslim in the United States and find connection, seek connection?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Your social media handle?
Yes. You can find me on Instagram at Yasmin Elhady. It's stupid. It's because I don't want to ever be famous. But that's YASMIN and then ELHAHAHADY LD. It's stupid. And then you can also find me on TikTok at Yasmin _Elhady. ELHADY. YASMIN ELHADY. Symmetry.
Thank goodness for rewinds on podcast platforms, right? You can just rewind that and write it down.
Yes.
I will add those links to the body of the podcast notes on whatever podcast application you listen to, but I'll also put it in the Substack.
Cool.
We'll back up the podcast drop with a Substack article that just basically has all the links on here. So look for Arabs in Media on Substack, or look up Arabs in Media on any podcast platform, and there will be a link for the Substack there as well.
Amazing.
Yasmin Elhady.
Yes.
This has been an absolute pleasure and a joy. And you are an exceptional and exceptionally funny person with a huge heart.
Thank you.
And amazing stories to tell.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be here and to share a little bit of light with your fantastic growing audience. And I wish you much success.
Thank you so much, Yasmin.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to Arabs in Media. We'll see you next time. And remember, Habibi, genocide is always wrong.
Yeah, Habibi, it's not complicated. Habibi, choose humanity. Come on. خلاص يلا
خلاص.
يا خلصوا هاي. It's so terrible اللي بيصير. شو عم بيصير الآن? Well, you know, we're moving towards it.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Inshallah.
Yep, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.